Hey guys, Mayday to you out there. Good to see you. And it's getting a little cooler out there today. Well, tomorrow, so on and so forth. We're running into wintertime. What better way to enjoy the cold weather than to have some cream of broccoli and cheddar soup? But that's right. We're making it today from scratch. So stick around and check out. You're gonna love this recipe. Let's take a look at those ingredients. We've got the mirepoix right here with some broccoli stems. And guys, if you've got broccoli stems, don't throw them away. Chop them up, and I'm going to show you what to do with half of the ones you chop up and the other half you put in there. But we're going to have the mirepoix, and that's basically onion, some celery, some carrot, diced, okay? And then we've got, obviously, our florets back here. And our florets are going to go in at the end. And because honestly, I hate eating cream of broccoli cheddar soup and no florets to eat. I mean, it's just a mushy thing of broccoli. Come on, we need to put florets in there. Don't you want broccoli? I knew you did. Oh, is that President Bush out there? Not gonna do it? Not gonna eat broccoli? Come on, George, give it a try. Anyway, let's take a look here. Let's get back to the ingredients. Anyway, cornstarch, that's going to be at the end to thicken it with some heavy cream. I'll show you that little deal. Chicken broth is going to be our base, and our cheddar cheese shredded up. We're going to add that. And I'm probably going to add Parmesan cheese to it also. So how much chicken broth do you say? I don't know, 48 ounces plus a can. I don't know, what's this can? Maybe 8 ounces or whatever. Anyway. Going to add that, going to put it all together, and guess what? You're going to get to see it right here, so stick around. First things first, we want to get our pan hot, and this pan we're using is just a little Dutch oven right here. Going to use that. It's got a lid right here too that we could use. Probably not going to use the lid though. Only, don't need it, okay? So let's just do it this way. First of all, get that nice and hot, and add about a dollop of butter. Probably a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons in the bottom. You don't want too much butter. And this is salted. People say, don't use salted. Oh my golly, you're gonna mess up the taste. Well, I'm gonna be tasting. And chances are, two tablespoons of butter isn't gonna add too much salt to it. It may even need more salt. But if it doesn't, it's always good to have that little bit of salt from the butter in it because it'll bring out the flavor. Salt enhances flavor. So let's take a look. Let's get this going right here. Get this butter melted around. That's melted quick. See, that's a benefit of preheating your pan up. Get that pan hot. Let's get this in here right now. Now we want to saute these around a little bit. Get them to sweat. You know. Oh, and I have some carrots reserved. Whole carrots reserved for at the end because I want carrots and broccoli. You know, I like to have some carrots and broccoli to, well, florets, you know, to kind of do my taste, wet my taste buds. I'm just going to sweat this in, guys, and what that means is just to get them nice and, you know, nice and softened. The carrots, all this stuff in here, believe it or not, it's given up its life because they're going to be done in with an emulsion blender. Now you could use your Vitamix. I have an emulsion blender, and I also have Vitamix, but not going to slop that out when I can use my emulsion blender. And if you don't know what an emulsion blender is, I'll be right back. It's one of these dudes right here. See that dude? It's one of those dudes that you go like that. They're a lot of fun too. So we're going to sweat this in, and after we sweat this in nicely, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our liquid in. So we'll be back for that. Oh, and I wanted to give you the Mayday tip of the day. If you guys hate that hard butter and don't use butter because you think you have to keep it in the refrigerator. Listen, I grew up leaving butter out where it was nice and soft, but it has to be salted, okay? You can't leave unsalted butter out because it will mold. It will turn bad. But the salt in this is a preservative, and it's going to preserve it. So I've had butter sit out for, you know, whatever, 2-3 weeks. It's fine. Anyway, we're still sweating and getting jiggy with it here a little bit. Take a look in there. Smells like Thanksgiving already with this stuff going. Wow, it really does smell good. So once we add our liquid, we'll let it cook down a little bit. Then we'll put some of the broccoli in. You noticed over here, I've got the florets and I've got, this is basically the donor broccoli. That's going to get emulsified, okay? So after we put the liquid in, we'll put the broccoli in and we'll be able to let it cook a little bit until it gets nice and soft. Then we're going to emulsify it. Once we emulsify it, we're going to add our thickener, which will be our cream, heavy cream, okay? And that's going to be mixed with cornstarch. That's going to give us the thickening of this soup. And then we're going to add back in, you know, the broccoli, the carrots, and the cheddar. But you want to do, when you add that cheddar, you want to get it off the heat because you don't want it to all clump together and everything. Just want to stir it in nice, take your time, okay? You'll get to see that. But back to this. Looking good. And as always, guys, I got my sink filled with some hot soapy dishwash and gonna add just a little bit of bleach just to keep it sanitized. I always try to do that when I cook, just so that we don't have any cross-contamination. I know it's vegetables and no raw chicken, but you know what? It's better safe than sorry. Let's do that. Okay, it's time now to add some chicken broth. Excuse my reach, but let's add this sucker. Ready? We're gonna do this together. All 48 ounces. Tender loving goodness. Now, you can make this with vegetable stock, and if you don't know how to do vegetable stock homemade, I'll do a video on that if you want me to, showing you exactly how awesome and how easy, I mean super easy it is to make a vegetable stock. Because some people out there want to eat vegetarian. They don't want to eat chicken. Now let's add that other can. Ta-da. And see, that brought it up to almost 3/4. And that's going to cook down a little bit. So we're going to turn up the heat a little bit, let it get cooking. And right now, we can put our broccoli donors in. When I say donor, I mean the ones that are going to get pureed or emulsified, however you want to say it. It's going to raise up. See, that raises it up quite a bit. But now, all that's left to do right here is just let these broccolis and everything get hot, cook in together, and we'll be back with the emulsifying. How does that sound? Now, right now, guys, I'm bringing this up. I want to get it, well, I'm going to bring it up to a Corporal Boyle. And if you don't know who Corporal Boyle was, Google it. Some of you older folks, guys and gals out there, you'll know who exactly I'm talking about. Corporal Boyle. Remember him? Remember, You knew who that was too. But anyway, get this going up to a boil so you can bring down some of that liquid. Want it to boil down, give us a little more room to put the immersion blender in there and give it a go. Because I'll tell you, and when you get this immersion blender in your hand, be cool, man. Be cool. And the reason I'm saying is, it could put stuff on your ceiling. You don't want to see that. Anyway, it could. So be really cool when you have an immersion blender in your hand, because I shouldn't be giving advice right now until we see how it goes with me. Anyway, just be cool with it or you might end up with stuff everywhere. Now that we've come up to a boil, guys, right now is a good time, honestly, to add a little cracked black pepper. As much as you want, as little as you want. I like a lot of pepper, and you can add some, obviously, when this is all going to be emulsified, but you can add some also when you get to the, get to the eating stage of the recipe. Now, you guys know I don't write down recipes. I make pretty much everything by sight and all that. So if you want a recipe, I don't have one. I just showed you the ingredients, and I say, I cook by sight. I don't know. I don't ever follow a recipe, really. How much cheese? Well, I've got this much cheese in one of these containers. What is that, a quart or half a quart or whatever? But I may not use all that cheese. We'll see. And for this, I will tell you, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and about a little over a third cup of heavy whipping cream. And we're going to whisk that together and make a paste. Then we'll just kind of scoop it out, put it in there after it's emulsified, and we're going to stir that around, let it thicken. After it's thickened, well, then we can add our cheese and then our broccoli florets and our carrots and all that. And, we'll probably add the broccoli florets and the carrots before that, let them get a little bit of cooking going on and soften up, and then add the cheese at the end and kind of just, slowly stir it in. I don't know how much cheese it's going to take, but we're ready. We're ready. We're definitely ready. You know what? And this is what I mean about there's no real science to cooking. I mean, there is, but there isn't. And I made probably a little bit of a mistake, and I'm not afraid to say it. So that pan that I was using was a little too small. So I said, why be crazy and try to emulsify in that thing when right here is what you need. Probably can't see it because of the steam, but I transferred it. It's going to give me a lot more room, and it's going to give me a lot more, forgiveness when I do that. What's the word of the day? Emulsify. And here's something else to tell you. Look at that. Put a lid on it. Now I don't have to worry about, reducing or giving me room in that pan. I've got that bigger pan, so I don't want to reduce it. In fact, I'll let the condensation or the steam come up, condense, and go right back down into the soup. Not going to hurt the flavor at all. A lot of times you don't want to do that with things, put a lid on something, because the steam will cause condensation, which will fall down, and now you're adding water, and you don't want that. It'll flatten out whatever you're making. So be careful when you do lids, especially on spaghetti sauce. I always tell people, if you're going to put a lid on it, make the lid smile. Give yourself a little bit of a smile like that, I don't know if you can see that, but because you want that heat to escape. But I don't want the heat to escape right now. Now it's time for the word of the day. Emulsify. Can't see with glasses on. That's funny. Up close I can't. Anyway, got one of these emulsifying blenders right here. Just going to go down in. Do not, once you get it going, do not pick it up out of the liquid, or you will have stuff everywhere. Stop it and restart it. So much easier probably with a Vitamix, but certainly not as Certainly not as fun. Well, you get the picture, so I'll be back whenever I get this emulsified. Okay, she's rocking. Done. This thing, this is my dad's. He probably bought it in 1910. And still works good, but the thing's a little troublesome. I think it's about time to get a new one. This thing keeps coming off. See that? It's supposed to come off, but you know, for cleaning, but not while you're doing it. Always popping off on you. That's kind of a mayday. Anyway, let me put this down. All right. So now let's take a look at what we've emulsified. It almost looks like pea soup, you know, but it's looking good. So now we get to whisk up some some cream and some cornstarch. Add that in. Give that a good shake. You guys don't have to sit here and watch me do this, but if you want to, go right ahead. Just add your heavy whipping cream, about that much. Get it going until you get a nice little paste whisked up. Whisked. This is I don't know, it's a wire whisk that's kind of coated, so if you ever use it in a Teflon pan or something like that, you're not going to scratch the Teflon. Not going to ruin your pan. You know what? I think I want a little more cream. I want this to be nice and creamy. All right, so guess what? It's time for us to stir this in and get it to come back to a boil. Usually if you use flour, you definitely want it to come back to a boil. Cornstarch, it doesn't have to come to a boil to thickening. It will start thickening pretty much immediately if it's hot. I'm just gonna add that right there. Get this kind of stirred. Yeah, it's getting nice and thick. Add a little more. Sorry about that in front of you guys. All right, that concludes the thickening agent. Now if you want to see this, let's take a look. Just stirring that in. I turned it back on the heat. I got it down to about medium high. Just going to stir this in. That's getting nice and thick right there. So now would be a good time, while it's nice and hot, to add our florets and our carrots. And then we can stir in the cheese after these cook a little bit. Because these are raw, so they're going to have to cook, you know. And I'm going to want to taste this just to make sure it's got good flavor. And this cornstarch didn't murder it or change its taste. Let's taste it. Take a look. This is going to be hot. It's got good broccoli taste. It needs a little salt though. Definitely needs a little salt. So we will salt it up here a little bit. Boy, is that good. We give it a couple twists of salt, not too much, because I can always salt later, you know. Here we go with the carrots. Those are cooked already, so we don't have to wait on them. But our florets, broccoli florets, we're gonna have to do a little bit of waiting to get those nice and soft before we stir in our cheese. And We'll do that in a minute as soon as these get soft. All right, guys, we are where we need to be, and that is right here. Broccoli florets are nice and soft. It's time to add the cheese. First up on the list, it's going to be about 1.5 ounces of some Parmesan. So let's add that. Slowly add it in, stir it in while you're doing it off the heat. Get it stirred in. It's going to melt down right away. And you notice I didn't do a lot of salt because the cheese is really salty. I mean, we'll taste it afterwards, you know. I'm going to add a little bit of this. Stir that in. I don't want to add it all yet. It's definitely going to take some more cheese. That's a definite. In fact, it's going to take all this. So that's going in. I'm going to stir it nice and in there. Oh man, this is going to be killer. I'll finish doing that. I'll spoon some out. I'm going to give it a taste just to see if it needs more seasoning. Then I'll be back with it. And I'm going to add crackers because I got to have soup and crackers all the time. Oyster crackers are probably the #1 thing to eat with this, but I don't have any. So guess what I'm going to have? Probably a Ritz. I don't know. We'll see. There's one thing I would have done differently using that much broth. I would have done my mirepoix with about 2 onions, a lot more celery, and I only did like 4 stalks of celery about that long, okay? And chop that up. Probably would do 8 or 10 or 12. More carrots even. I think it probably, not that it's a bad taste, it's a great taste, but it would have been a little more enhanced. I've tasted it, so it's time to add a little salt to it. Just stir that in. I'm gonna add that right there. Give this a stir, give it a whirl. Now, it's time for the scooping. Oh yeah, baby, look at that. Oh, you guys hungry? 2 nice big, there's broccoli. This is really nice and thick too. I like it like that. Like I said, it's hearty, guys. It's really hearty. And like I said, I'm a cracker guy. With all my soups, I just have to have crackers. And the cracker of choice tonight was just, I don't know, whatever these are. Made by Dare, Breton's, whatever. That's gonna go in there because I love it. I give that a little whirl. Give this a little cracked black pepper. And another little bit of shredded cheese right on top. Now you notice my food doesn't look like it just came, you know, out of a gourmet restaurant or anything. This is home cooking. But let's give it a try. Let's ask the dear Lord to bless this dish. Father, thank you so much. Please bless this dish and nourish it to my body. And anybody out there that makes this, Lord, please bless it. Please bless them. All my subscribers, and please bless it and nourish it to our bodies. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let's give it a try. Oh boy. It's gonna be nice and hot. Creamy. Delicious. Carroty, broccoli. Got to get another one. Cheesy, delicious. Well, guys, you saw it here. Make it. Make it. It's easy to make. I mean, just have all your stuff ready to go. Follow exactly how I did it. Comes out, comes out great. Probably gonna add a little more pepper and salt to it, but other than that, it's right there. So, got nothing else for you guys. I'm so glad that you have subscribed, and if you haven't, I'd love to have you. There's plenty of room on my channel. And if you do, leave me a comment. I answer all my comments. And if you ever want to reach me personally, email me, tdmayday22@gmail.com. Guys, got nothing else for you. Have a great night. May God bless you, but Mayday is out of here.